Greetings, thank you for inquiring about the might of the ice barriers. I personally enjoy using the ice barrier archetype, it just clicks with me, and they can be very versatile depending on the situation. They don't always win you duels, but when they do it's with style and grace. Skill is crucial, using techniques your opponent might not easily anticipate, some might call it luck, or if weeboo enough you might call it, the heart of the cards. Also, ice barriers cards are quite easy to get and cheap to acquire. Bottom line, ice barriers pack lots of bang for your virtual gems. I believe the ice barriers are very underrated and highly underestimated, but you know what they said. Never underestimate the devil. Before I start, a few principles. I call it my unspoken rules of my playstyle and the ground rules for future duel videos. I like to play semi-pure. I like to keep hand traps to an absolute minimum. I try to keep cards from other archetypes to an absolute minimum, for aesthetic reasons, but I do use a few. I like to make my decks fun and fair, just pure sportsmanship. Now let's begin. Let me introduce you to my Ice Barrier Legion. Monster lineup: 1. Cryomancer of the Ice Barrier. 3. Prior of the Ice Barrier. 2. Defender of the Ice Barrier. 3. Hexa Spirit of the Ice Barrier. 3. Revealer of the Ice Barrier. 3. Speaker for the Ice Barriers. 2. General Wayne of the Ice Barrier. 2. Zuijin of the Ice Barrier. 1. Gameciel, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. Spells lineup: 3. Winds over the Ice Barrier. 3. Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier. 3. Medallion of the Ice Barrier. 1. Harpie's Feather Duster. 1. Pot of Avarice. 1. Swords of Revealing Light. 1. Enemy Controller. 2. Magic Triangle of the Ice Barrier. Traps lineup: 1. Mirror Force. 2. Terror of Trishula. 1. Evenly Matched. 2. Infinite Impermanence. Extra deck lineup: 1. Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. 2. Brionac, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. 2. Gumner, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. 2. Dularen, Tiger King of the Ice Barrier. 3. Trishula, Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier. 1. Trishula, the Dragon of Icy Imprisonment. 2. Number 101, Silent Honor Arc. 2. Adamancipator Risen, Dragite. Basic strategy: despite the Ice Barrier label of control, you would like to go second with this deck. Why? So we can banish key ace monsters and boss monsters of your opponent. How? Our goal is to summon Trishula 0 in one turn. We have several cards that can help us with that, but let's get familiar with the Big 5, or how I like to call it, the Ice Barrier, Royal Flush. Get very familiar with these cards. This is your 10, Medallion of the Ice Barrier, basically searches any ice barrier on your deck. This is your Jack, General Wayne of the Ice Barrier. This card can be a special summon from your hand if you already have an Ice Barrier monster on the field, and your opponent has a monster on his side of the field. To top that, it searches any Ice Barrier spell/trap upon summoning once per turn. Also, all spell/trap cards used by your opponent are banished instead while this card is face up on the field. When using General Wayne of the Ice Barrier, these are your targets: Winds over the Ice Barrier, Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, Medallion of the Ice Barrier. This is your queen, or waifu if you must, Revealer of the Ice Barrier. This card basically can special summon a tuner Ice Barrier monster, a key element to bring the synchro Ice Barrier monsters, and if it exists already in the graveyard, you can banish this card instead of discarding it from your hand for Ice Barrier cost effects. This is your boss card, aka the king, Trishula, 0 Dragon of the Ice Barrier, can banish 3 cards on the field without targeting, but 2700 attack seems weak, and that's a good thing. Why? If destroyed it neutralizes the effects of all monsters on your opponent's side of the field, and halves all their attacks. Plus it brings OG Trishula with 3300 attacks from the extra deck or graveyard. Your opponent would be foolish attacking a Trishula 0 head-on, and it's hilarious when it happens, and it happens a lot. Or, you can bring OG Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, and then summon Trishula 0 with the help of these cards, Hexa Spirit of the Ice Barrier, Zuijin of the Ice Barriers, if it already exists on your graveyard. That's enough ice and salt to make many players scoop. And finally, this is your ACE card. Prior of the Ice Barrier is a personal favorite. Why? Because it can turn into any Ice Barrier monster on your graveyard, even Synchro Ice Barriers. A level 2 monster can become a level 11 just like that, so that's the Ice Barrier, Royal Flush. But the beauty of the Ice Barriers is that you can adjust depending on what are you going against. If you face monsters whose effects can be activated from the graveyard, then use Brionac, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, instead. Send those bad puppies back to the deck. Dularen, Tiger King of the Ice Barrier, can allow you to place your opponent on a soft lock, with the combination of Swords of Revealing Light, and your target is to activate and reactivate Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier every turn. Also, you can bring these cards late into the game to prevent your opponent boss monsters from attacking, Cryomancer of the Ice Barrier, Defender of the Ice Barrier, or tributing by using Revealer of the Ice Barrier. You can bring those monsters by the effect of the Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, plus you will be protecting your Synchro Ice Barriers, and if you need an additional Ice Barrier monster on the field, you can use Speaker for the Ice Barriers to bring a token, to fulfill the effect of Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, and or, use Winds over the Ice Barrier to bring the Ice Barrier monster that you might need. Also, remember that Prior of the Ice Barrier is a great target too, especially if General Wayne of the Ice Barrier already exists on your graveyard. A key element to ensure Ice Barrier victory is hand advantage. Make sure if you can get additional cards in your hand when possible. The reason is some cards consume resources from your hand in order to activate effects, and having extra cards is always good. These are just a few of the combos you can pull with this deck. Is fun and practical. And that concludes the Ice Barrier deck profile and basic strategy. Feel free to comment on your strategies, or tips to improve the Ice Barrier decks, and remember link to other videos of the Ice Barrier kicking ass or videos you would like to share.